Chief designer, you made us the envy of the world, but the KGB is now more concerned than ever what the West might do.
The Americans have acquired your plans for the lunar base. It appears that someone in Star City is working for the other side.
What did you want to accomplish in expanding this world of For All Mankind?
You know, I think we thought a lot about, as we were exploring the idea of a spinoff about the Soviet space program, we felt compelled to tell the story of this program because of all the amazing things we read about that so many people don't know the details of, because the program was so secretive. But it was also really important to us on a creative level that it feel like a different show, you know, in its DNA, that visually, in sound and music and just every aspect of the show, that it was its own thing. Because honestly, on one level, that's what gets us going, you know, is if we're just doing sort of a companion piece to For All Mankind, it would get boring. So I think really delving into the distinctive world of this show was such a treat, and getting to work with all of the brilliant actors, you know, I'm so excited for people to see it.
Right. Well, so Reese, why were you attracted to this role?
Well, for the same reason as the guys, really. You know, it's kind of new territory with familiar DNA, and just to play a character who, you know, all the events and all the characters we see in this show and the other show are, you know, rooted in a authenticity of some description, you know. So for me, what was fascinating was playing a guy who, were he known, would arguably be the most famous person in Russia, if not the world, if not the whole world. And he had to operate within a completely and utterly anonymous space. And what it would mean to a man, a pioneer, a genius such as himself, to have to navigate his passions and his yearnings and his dreams, to have to navigate an oppressive, an overbearing state on a daily basis in order to make that happen. The sacrifices, the trickery, the deceit, the perpetual game of chess one has to play in that world fascinated me as an actor.
So were you guys glued to the screen with Artemis 2? Were you watching that?
Yes. I mean, honestly, the timing of that was incredible because, you know, here we are, For All Mankind season 5 is out. You know, Star City is about to come out. We're working on season 6 of For All Mankind. So I think we are consumed with space content right now. And then to see the world suddenly become consumed with this mission that honestly, like, you know, for us, you know, the one of the early motivations for All Mankind was our own frustration with how little progress had been made in space exploration since the 80s. So to suddenly see come to life that we're going to the moon, that there are plans to go to Mars, there are plans to be people, and to see these images come back, I got to say it was inspiring, not only to us, to our cast, our crew, to everyone working on the show. You feel suddenly like we're back in the age of exploration again, and I think for us, that's always been the big inspiration for these shows. You know, is that we feel we humans are here to explore, to go up that hill on the other side. And I think the moment we stop exploring, the world got smaller and smaller and smaller. So I hope they continue. And yeah, whatever part we can take in that, we will gladly take.
Agnes and Anna, the most terrifying characters on this show.
I don't know what you mean.
What do you mean?
Hello.
You look. I love seeing you not in these like horrific, grim surroundings. So tell me about your characters and their strange mentorship that develops.
Well, Irina is a low-ranking KGB operative who sort of inveigles her way into Ludmila's gaze. She sort of like idolizes her and goes on quite the journey by her side.
Ludmilla is a colonel, and served in the Second World War, and now is head of surveillance at Star City. So she's KGB. So she's trying to keep a lid on all the secrets of Star City and make sure the chief designer sort of toes the party line. Serves the
And
greater
she's
good.
super casual about it all.
She's super cool and
She's
stealing
chill.
casual. Yeah, she is. She is a power player. Yeah.
I mean, we learn early on, she's killed a lot of people in her past.
I think we can assume she's killed a lot of people. I think she does whatever she needs to do to get on and get by and survive and serve the party. And then she has this really interesting dynamic with Aggie's character, Irina, which is really complex. And I think it grows more and more complex over the course of the season in that storytelling. Yeah, it's quite toxic. Yeah.
Irina takes a bit of a different path. So can you hint about that? Is that a rebellion? Can you just talk about that?
I think the thing that happens to Irina is she essentially she can't help but protect Tanya. And so that kind of leads her down a few confusing paths. And she's constantly battling with being like the good student and following her own impulses. And what's kind of fun about Irina is I think a lot of the time she's completely out of control of what she's doing. And so I don't feel like audiences will be able to guess where she goes. And that's quite, it's really fun to play.
I think that her level of ambition is quite controlled, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think now that for Irina sitting there looking around, seeing all these sort of grizzled ladies still listening, I think she thinks, I don't want to be one of those. I want to be better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what training did you two do to be able to authentically portray these cosmonauts? I mean, did they have you jumping out of planes?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
Yeah, for
plane
sure.
was also like maybe
It was on the ground
2
with a
meters
load
off
of
the
pads
ground.
underneath.
Yeah, with a lot of pads underneath. Yeah, they had us up on what I think they officially call it wires, but it was sort of like the dingle dangle that was they would puppeteer us about and
We were
really
dingle-dangling a lot.
yeah, with as many a gizmo to help us attempt
And this
zero
was for all,
gravity.
the zero gravity
Yeah,
stuff. And
but we also spoke to, you spoke to Garrett too, no?
I did speak
Yeah,
to Garrett.
we both spoke to Garrett Reisman, who's an astronaut who was really generous and so cool, like explaining all the realities. You know, when you're up there, like there is blood rushing to your head because our blood is, you know, used to pumping around and it's used to gravity. So it's a very, it's very strange. It's like there's the constant headache.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell so great sometimes. Your smell is not so great either, so that's manageable. You know, there's a lot of like, you know, sort of slow-mo that you might see, but actually you kind of have to avoid that. In reality, people are moving at the same rate. It's just that nothing moves how it does.
Yeah.
Down
It was
here.
an interesting kind of, physically to kind of
Yeah.
replicate zero gravity was quite a challenge. And we had... We
Elbow, you have to keep your elbows up. That's the...
Yeah, it's like your arms wouldn't... If you relax
yeah.
your arms, they're not going to... You
Yeah.
know, they just kind of stay.
Thank you too. I could almost believe you're floating up right now.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. We've had a lot of practice.
I did tell myself if I start trying to reenact anything like that today, then I am definitely
gone too
embarrassing
far.
myself, and so that won't be happening.
What are Lakshmi's first impressions when she gets to Star City?
It's not what she expects it to be. It's really interesting because there's so much secrecy around the USSR and what the world was like. But you hear things and she thinks she understands the world in which she's walking into, but you don't truly know it until you're there. And she's discovering a lot as she goes along. And it feels like as this show goes along, she's uncovering more and more truth about just how insane the place that she is working and living in really is. And so I got to kind of experience that with her. Yeah, she really does go on quite the journey. So
She does.
What about your character? Is he kind of a guide to her? How does he see her?
I think when he meets Lakshmi, I think he's sort of taken aback. It kind of, as in, I found another one. It kind of felt like that, somebody who speaks my language. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of sort of compassion and excitement around that, because he's like, oh my God, I've got another friend. I've got somebody that I can talk to about this. Yeah. So then as it goes on, without making any spoilers, I think there is, because Lakshmi ends up in such a terrifying, compromising position, I think that, I mean, I know it hits the character hard later on down the level. It's sort of, it really gets to him. So I think he sees them, you know, it's about people finding people and just trying to survive in this world.
Yeah.
So he likes making friends.
Tell me about this couple and maybe why each of them doesn't quite fit in to this Star City location. We can start, Ruby, we can start with you.
I think Tanya was never going to fit in. She's not someone who likes being controlled, and, you know, obviously that's difficult for someone who lives in the Soviet Union, but I think back in Moscow, there was at least a degree of freedom there, and she was surrounded by people who had, you know, who were like-minded and who were artists, and she had that to keep her going. But Star City, there isn't, you know, she is locked in, and there's not really anything for her there, apart from Valia. She's given up everything so that he can fulfill his ambitions. She's simply not suited to it. And it's oppressive for her at the beginning. She's not a scientist. She's a completely different kind of person, and yeah, it's this kind of like increasing pressure that eventually she just needs to break out of.
Yeah, Valia's role is that he's in Star City. You know, he's a very competent cosmonaut, and he's a well-established cosmonaut and a reliable guy in the space program, and which is why we've sort of been enticed here to live here. And then of course it changes, you know, as we go on, and you find out this pressure that you describe is, you know, on both of them. And but yeah, Valia's you know, he's someone that you can trust and someone you can rely on, and someone who always knows what he's doing, and he's always done the homework, so you can cheat and copy off him. You know what I mean? He's that guy. He's the guy that stays in the hotel room while everyone else goes downstairs and drinks champagne, and he does the calculations 5, 6, 7 times, because the world is on his shoulders, or, you know, I suppose the moon is on his shoulders and the world is elsewhere, but you know what I mean? That's who Valia is. That's why he fits in.